So before you guys thinking that I'm like just blowing up Facebook Live today, I'm not. I did this video earlier and I accidentally pressed the delete button instead of the done button, which happens when I take off my glasses. And so someone came on and said, hey, where's that video? I wanted your list. And I'm like, it's right there. And it wasn't right there. So I am doing it all over again, and I'll try to be just as excited as I was the first time. And my apologies for anyone who watched and wanted the list. I'm going to do the list again. All right, so what are the top 10 items that speakers really, really need to have a good foundation in their business, and how much they talk costs? Now, the thing is, I'm going to talk to you about the tangibles as well as the intangibles. I will separate them. So I'll make sure that we talk about the intangibles first, and then I'll head over to the tangibles, okay? So let's talk about the intangibles. The intangibles are that you definitely need to know your expertise, and you have to have a knowledge of your differentiator. Here's the easy part. If you don't know what your differentiator is, then it is truly your methodology. It is your way of doing things. So for example, as an entrepreneurial business owner and coach, because a lot of you guys know that I run Biz on Fire Academy, my entrepreneurial methodology is here in the 6. It's the 6 strategies. And it's literally laid out in I'm going to actually show it to you so you'll know what I'm talking about. You won't think I'm crazy. But my methodology is actually laid out so that you can see it, right? In a physical form, right? So if you've ever seen this picture before, wait, where is it? Yeah, this picture before, right? This is my methodology. It's my core strategy. It's the way that I teach people to build their business. So the one thing you have to have is you have to have an expertise, and then you want your methodology. Your methodology is the way that you do things. The second thing you want is your positioning statement, which includes, let me just be clear, it's not just your positioning statement, it's your value proposition, it's your positioning statement, as well as your differentiator. You need all 3 of those. You need your value proposition first, which is what value do you bring to your customers. Then you need your value proposition. Then you need your positioning statement, which is who you work with within your target, like who specifically is your target market. And then your differentiator or your unique selling proposition, what makes you unique. You put all of those together, and that is your opening statement. So you definitely need to have one of those. Most people and let me just go on before I tell you the next part. The next one is your target market. You definitely need to know specifically who you're working with. Yes, you can say that I work with everyone, but quite honestly, you don't. You really, really don't. There are specific people that you work with regularly. Those people pay you regularly. That is your target market. And if you don't know who that is yet, don't worry. There is a way to find out. And then finally, you want to have goals, but then you want to have an action plan to help you reach those goals. I know people who at the beginning of every year, they throw their goals up on the whiteboard, and those goals are still up there on December 31st. Like, they haven't done anything to work toward them. So it's not enough to have goals, and it's not enough to have like this pretty little whiteboard up and make a vision board. You actually have to have actions that you're going to take towards those goals. One of the things that I hate, as a little segue about The Secret, is that so many people thought that if I watch The Secret, then at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to sit on my couch and pop bonbons and become a millionaire. That's so not how it works. You can definitely have a vision. The next thing I would ask you is, well, what is the one thing that you can change today that won't cost you any more time or any more money that you can change today to help you reach that vision? It might be that you want to be a supervisor at your job. You want to be a manager or a leader at your job. And so maybe the thing you have to start doing is changing the way you dress for that leadership position. Maybe you have to volunteer to be in committees where those leaders are. So these are the first 4 things you need. You need your expertise, with a knowledge of your differentiator, and you have to have that differentiator written out in some way, shape, or form. We usually suggest when you come to Biz on Fire and Jumpstart, we show you how to put it in a book or within a video series. You need to have your positioning statement. Where are you positioning yourself in your target market, and your value proposition? What value do you bring, and your unique selling your unique selling proposition, what makes you different. So you have to have those two things. You got to know who your target market is, because it ain't everybody. And I'll talk about that when we get to pricing. And then, of course, you want to have your goals and a plan, an actionable plan to reach those goals. So those are the intangibles. Now, quite honestly, if you hired a coach, just a coach to work with you by yourself for a full year, that coach would probably charge you somewhere around $12,000 to $24,000 just for the year, just for those intangibles. Because a lot of people have a hard time finding or recognizing those intangibles. They really don't know what their intangibles are. They don't know what their expertise is. I had this one guy that came in my class, and he said that his expertise was confidence. And everybody, hey, thank you for the hat, Mr. Bentley. That's right, I'm killing this hat today. Anyway, he came to my class. He said that his expertise was confidence, and he was confident that his expertise was confidence. And everyone in this class watched this guy talk about confidence as his expertise for probably like a couple of weeks, I think it was, before I finally just said, please go back and do the homework. Please go back and do your expertise definition profile. And then when he went back and did his expertise definition profile and he actually did the homework, he came back, his expertise was not confidence. It was not. The cool thing was, though, the moment that he finished the profile and he got back on the next call, not only did he recognize what his expertise was, he knew who his target market was. He knew what his positioning statement was. He understood his differentiator. He understood his value proposition, and he was ready to put down goals and actions. Those four things, expertise is like that barrier. It's like that roadblock that you can't get through when you're trying to get to the other stuff. Because if you don't know your expertise, the rest of this business is hard. Like, people always talk about entrepreneurship being hard. It is hard when you can't get past those first four things. Because think about it. If I told you, okay, I need you to go door to door and sell, but you had no idea what you were selling, you would be stuck. You wouldn't know what neighborhoods to go into, which neighborhoods not to go into. You would just be all over the place trying to figure it out because you don't know what you're selling. When you don't know your expertise cold, and you don't know, and you don't even understand what your differentiator is, you can't even answer this one question: why should I pick you? You can't even answer that question if you don't know what your differentiator is, because your differentiator is your why. That is your why. You can't position yourself in the market as the expert for people to pick you because you don't even understand why they should pick you. And so then you have an even harder time picking your target market. So when people tell you that getting started in the speaking industry is difficult and that you should do things for cheap and for free, it's because, quite honestly, those people have a hard time finding their expertise. But I gotta tell you, all of our students that came to Biz on Fire and the students that have done the Jumpstart program, they don't have those issues because we got a formula to help you figure it out. I'm just saying. But those are the first four things you're going to need, and you're going to spend anywhere. Listen, you got work, which is figuring out these four things. You're going to have to either spend time or money or both. The more time you spend, the less money you spend. The more money you spend, the less time you spend. So if you're like, I know experts, not kidding you, that I've talked to for at least 5 years that still don't know their expertise. And then I know an expert that I worked with 5 years ago and told him his expertise, and now he's getting ready to do the main stage at NSA. So I'm just saying, when you know your expertise, all those barriers start moving out of the way. The last thing I'm going to say about that, and I got Jessica here so I can actually share this. So Jessica was working on writing a book, and she had been working on it for a little while, and she was going back and forth and really struggling on it. And then we sat down one day, and it was probably no more than an hour. And I said, Jessica, what about this? Boom, 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 boom. And she said, oh my gosh. And then she came back within a week or so and said, the book is just flowing out of me, because that barrier of what her expertise was had moved out of the way. Everything else started to flow. And that's what happens when you're in this industry. you really have to have a good understanding of your expertise. So don't devalue the value of a coach by saying, well, I don't need that, I'll figure it out. Or I have people that say, I'm going to come to Jumpstart after I figure out my expertise and I get my website and I know my positioning statement. Oh, you're working on it for like 2 years, my bad. Don't do that. Don't come, like I tell people all the time, don't come to us saying, I got to have my website, my expertise, and my target market, and my positioning statement, and all this other stuff in place before I even come see you guys. Because quite honestly, we've had people that have come to us that have all those things in place, and then they got to start over because they realize, oh my God, that's not even my expertise. So really, you want to come to us kind of, I hate to say it, kind of raw. And if you're not raw, at least you'll have some of the things in place and we can help you maneuver what you do have so you can have a better transition. So anyway, those are the intangibles. And again, the intangible will cost you from a decent coach anywhere from $12,000 to $24,000 if you don't want to waste 3 to 5 years. If you want to waste 3 to 5 years, you're probably coming out of pocket only about 10 grand. I don't know about you, I prefer not to waste time. Okay, so here's the second set of things that you definitely need if you want to be a profitable speaker. You need to have your speech, and you have to have any type of deliverables that go along with your speech. So I don't tell people that they have to have a book. Like I hear people all the time like, oh, if you're a speaker, you have to have a book. That's crap. You don't have to have a book. However, I will tell you that having some type of follow-up product, whether that follow-up product, a physical book or a webinar or a video series, it doesn't really matter, but have some type of follow-up product for the people in the audience or even for the people who are hiring you. You want to have that. But you do have to have a speech, and not just a good speech. You want to have a great speech. If you watched my video earlier today, you probably saw me holding up these 4 papers. I'll put them back in order. You probably saw me holding up these 4 papers and talking about the value of these 4 papers because I started using the craveable keynote formula that I've had for a while, but I decided, eat my own dog food. So I decided to start using the craveable keynote formula, which is crazy because I taught people this formula and yet I wasn't using it. It happens to us all. So I started using this formula and I went from having a good speech to a speech where I've gotten this guy right here ended up getting me 3 more referrals just from one speech. And if you look at these dates, by the way, you're going to see 4/26, 5/8, and 4/27. There's still 3 more referrals that he has in his pocket. So my point, and these are tens of thousands of dollars. One of these is Starbucks, and Starbucks came in for a really nice check. So my point is you want to make sure that you don't just have a speech. I've given speeches for years and never, ever, ever gotten a single freaking referral. Then I decided to eat my own dog food, use the craveable keynotes formula, and now I have 3 of them. So if you're interested, by the way, in learning the craveable keynote formula, then go to my webpage, go to my page. You're going to see something that says craveable keynotes. PM me, send me a PM, or I will actually put the link. Oh, I put the link up there. If you go to biz-on-fire/crave on July 13th in the evening and July 14th in the morning, I am doing a 2-hour workshop on how to apply the craveable keynote formula. So you do need a speech, and it's only $99. And if you bring 2 people, it's $160. So it's nothing ridiculous at all. You do need a speech, and you definitely want a speech that leads them to the next level of giving referrals and buying their products. The next thing you need to have is a pricing strategy, because pricing is exclusive and not inclusive, right? So most people try to set their prices so that everyone can buy them, and that's not really how it works. You want to make sure that you're setting your price so that your target market will buy from you. It's one of the reasons why I don't do things cheap and free, because I'm not, and that's not who I'm going after. Number 7 is you want to make sure that you have a great website with great copy. And let me tell you the definition of great copy. I actually have a workshop called Kick-Ass Copy. Your copy should sound like you. It shouldn't sound like the newscaster on Channel 10 News. Like, it really shouldn't. It should sound like you. In fact, companies and organizations that have a personality tend to have more loyal followers. So for example, if you check out Red Bull, like people who don't even drink, I've never, ever, ever drank a can of Red Bull ever in my life. And yet and still, I know who Red Bull is. They're one of my favorite companies. I love Red Bull. I am a loyal follower and fan of Red Bull. When they had the little guy jump off the top of the stratosphere, I was all in and watched. And if I needed some Red Bull and vodka, I would get Red Bull and vodka because I 100% am a fan of Red Bull. So why? Because they have a huge personality. They're daring. They go for it. They sponsor things like the Winter X Games. Like that's who they are. So make sure that your website has a personality. Don't be afraid to get out there. If you go to my websites, either one, Biz on Fire or Dawnna.com, they both have my personality. And so that's the thing. You want your product to have your personality. In fact, I kind of have a girl crush right now on the Wendy's Twitter feed. Like whoever is behind that, I now have a thing for like redheads because the Wendy's Twitter game is so on point. Why? Because they have an amazing personality behind their feed. Will everybody love it? No, but the people who love it are huge fans. All right, so that's what you need for number 7. Website with great copy. So make sure your website has great personality. So really quickly, I'll do these again. You have to know your expertise, number 1, along with your differentiator. Number 2, your positioning statement, and along with everything else that goes with that, which is your unique USP as well as your value proposition, your target market, your goals, and your action plan. Those 4 things together, if you got a coach to help you get through that first year, would run you around 12 grand. Then from there, you have to have a kick-ass phenomenal speech that delivers you referrals. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know for a fact that there is a guy who charges about 6 grand for you to come and spend the weekend with him. He's a professional. Like, this is what he does. He charges about 6 grand, and he helps you. He doesn't write it for you. He helps you with your speech. So I'm going to tell you right now, a good speech, a really good speech is about 6 grand. You got to have your pricing strategy, which you can usually get from like a marketing guru, or you can go with us. Website with great copy. A great website is going to run you anywhere from 5 to 10,000. You got to have a good demo video. And I don't mean a kind of good demo video. You got to have a damn good demo video. Great audio, great like panning and all of that other stuff. A great demo video is going to cost you anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000, if not higher, maybe even 5. You got to have headshots. Headshots will run you around $1,000. And then you have to have your marketing stuff, like your speaker one sheet, or I use is a full-on marketing book. Now, a full-on marketing book includes everything like travel arrangements, whether or not I want water, where to put things on the stage, like it's the whole thing. So on average, if you calculated everything, the intangibles, it would take you about 2 to 3 years learning, collecting, creating things on your own, and it would cost you about $10,000 out of pocket. So it would take you 3 years and 10 grand. If you were to pay people to do most of the work, even with, and that's like really do most of the work for you and have some entry-level coaching, you're going to probably end up out of your pocket around $27,000. One of the things that we did at Biz on Fire when we looked at the market was we knew that Jumpstart was a $27,000 to $30,000 program. But one of the things that was really important to us was that the people who came into Jumpstart, that those people were able to pay off Jumpstart before they graduated. Like that was a really big deal to me personally. I am like such a debt-free person. I don't really believe in people having debt, and I'm huge on ROI. So one of the things that we did was we said, if you were going to come into Jumpstart, number 1, we took it from a 6-month program to a 9-month program. So that means it reduced the investment to about, if you didn't put a down payment at all, to $2,000 a month. But the thing is, it was even cheaper than that because the last $5,000 is not due until after you've earned $21,000 in business, which we help you to do within that 9 months. So basically, we put together a 9-month program with a guaranteed ROI for graduation. And the reason we did that was because we looked at these numbers, and quite honestly, I think it's a little ridiculous to have to come out of your pocket $30,000 to be successful. And I think 3 to 5 years is way too long. So my whole thing was, how do we make this happen? But these are the real numbers. Like, this is what it really costs if you want to get up and running. So when people say that the speaking business is hard, let me tell you, it's not hard. The hard part is that you have to put in the work at the beginning if you want to call that hard. People who come through Jumpstart, quite honestly, probably do about 12 hours a week of extra work. So don't quit your job. We tell them that straight up, 12 hours a week of extra work. And then beyond the 12 hours, they have homework to do. So I would tell you it's anywhere between 12 and 24 hours a week for 9 months. At the end of that 9 months, though, they're closing at least 2 speaking engagements. I mean, like I said, I closed these within the past, I closed these 3 engagements within the past 2 days, because today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, within the past 2 days. So it's not hard. It's getting you to the point where you're consistent. And it takes 9 months. If you're following our program, it takes 9 months to get to that point of consistency where you are literally closing deals, at least 1 every 2 weeks. And that's our minimum standard. So you're doing about $15,000 a month. What we really like to get people up to for our first level is that they're closing 4 deals, which means they're closing anywhere from 40 to 48 deals a year. Not everybody wants to do that much travel. Not everybody's interested in being on the road 96 to 100 days a year, but we're talking about $30,000 a month. So it's according to what you want, right? We don't force anyone to say, oh, you have to make $800 million this year. Everybody always talks about making $1 million. You know what? No, you have to make enough where you're comfortable and you have the lifestyle business that you want. Anyway, so those are the 10 things that you need to really have, the 10 foundational items to have a successful speaking business. There are so many other things like having a good CRM, but you don't need that until you figure out the other part, right? So you got to get these other things in place first. That's the foundational. In Biz on Fire, you get that foundational. You literally walk out with a book or a product that's 80% edited and all of that other stuff. And yeah, a lot of, it's funny, Jessica, that you say that. Someone asked me before, because I ran a business intelligence company that was worth $250 million. And someone said, well, Dawnna, why don't you make Biz on Fire a $250 million company? Because quite honestly, I don't want to work. I don't want to work 16 hours a day. I mean, I was a COO and I was working 16 hours a day, and that was just something I was not willing to do again, right? So if you were a keynote speaker, right, and you wanted to do $1 million in straight keynote fees, then you're going to have to do 100 engagements a year, with an engagement being 2 to 3 days per engagement. Is from travel day, then you're there speaking, and then you travel again. For you to do that, you're talking about being on the road between 200 and 300 days a year. You're only home for 65 days. You're basically home 1 day on the weekend. That's, you have to really determine, is that the life that you want, right? I don't want to be on the road that much anymore. I used to do the 60 to 80 speaking engagements a year. It's not what I'm interested in doing. I have a very balanced lifestyle right now where I do some speaking engagements, but then I also teach the academy, which is what I really prefer. So you have to really determine what you want. I personally like having my weekends off. I like when 5:30 rolls around that I'm not working anymore that day, and that's at the latest. In fact, I'm getting ready to go and do my nails right now, and I took a walk this morning. I have worked really hard to create a lifestyle business. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the cost for the $1 million? $1 million is nice, but what's the cost? So you said, what is the difference between a speaker and a performer? Oh, that is such a great question. Okay, so the question is, what is the difference between a speaker and a performer? So we had this question that came up in regards to memorizing and not memorizing on the National Speakers Association group. And so one of the things that I talk about is, you guys can sit up here and you can ask me a million questions right now in regards to business. Like, I really wouldn't mind if you ask me all kinds of questions. Just make sure they're clear and I'm not going to understand them. Because if I don't know what you're asking me, I'm not going to answer. And when you know your stuff, you can stand up and you can deliver that expertise, and you don't need a teleprompter. You don't need it to have anything memorized. You know your stuff. You just know it because it's a part of you. It's a part of your lifeblood. That's the one thing that we actually help entrepreneurs with. We don't drive you to to memorize your content. You might have certain pieces that you want to memorize. For example, quotes, dates, dollars, dollar amounts, statistics, facts. We always tell people, know your facts. So we're always looking for that. That is a speaker. A speaker can literally stand up and they can share their information. And there are 3 types of speakers. There are inspirational speakers, which are going to tell you what to do. There are motivational speakers, or they're going to tell you what they did. Let me take that back. So inspirational speakers tell you what they did. Motivational speakers move you into action. And expert speakers tell you what they did. They move you into action, usually by showing, and then usually by motivating you. And then the third thing we do is that they transfer knowledge to you so that you are different when you walk out, right? So, hey, Curtis, how are you doing? So those are the 3, right? So you have an inspirational, you have a motivational, and you have an expert. Now, remember, inspirational is I'm just going to tell you my story. Motivational is I'm going to tell you my story and I'm going to motivate you to go do something better, right? An expert is literally telling you the how, not only what to do, and not only feeling what they did, but how to do it. There's going to at least be one how to. So that's the type of speaker. Now, when you talk about a performer is literally a person who is leaving their current body in some way and they're becoming something else. So, for example, they may become a dancer, right? They're not dancing all the time, but in this moment, they are dancing. So they stop being the person who's sitting with you over Starbucks and they start being something else. And in that moment, maybe they're a dancer. I know people who literally think that they're speakers because they perform their speech, but people did not hire you to be a performer. They literally hired you to deliver your expertise that you're supposed to be bringing to the table, or your motivation. I get hired as a motivational speaker quite often. And generally what people want to know is they're like, so how did you go from homeless at 19 to running a $250 million business intelligence company? They're not asking me to perform. They're not asking me to, all of a sudden have these Shakespearean proses. They're asking me to be Dawnna St. Louis on stage and share. So one is where a performer literally exits their current body in many ways. And they go into being another character. A speaker is an expert, an inspirer, or a motivator that is sharing information with other people in order to reach a specific result, right? So that's the difference between the 2. All right, so let me see. Does anyone have any questions before I head out? So you learn what are the 10 things that you really need in order to be a speaker. And again, in order to be a profitable speaker, those things by themselves will cost you, if you don't spend any money in 5 years, will have cost you about $10,000, but it will have cost you 5 years. And you might get there. I know speakers still who have spent the money and they're not there. That's on the low one. You're going to spend that $10,000. I'm just going to let you know. You're spending it regardless. You don't think you are. You will. You will get subscriptions that you did not need. You will pay for CRMs that do not work. You will buy into someone's program that didn't work. You're going to spend that 10 grand one way or the other, whether you have it right now or not. It does not matter. That is the cost of being a speaker baseline. But then when you go to the next level where you're going, no, I'm going to hire all these people to do this stuff for me, even though you don't know if they're doing the right thing in the right way, but you're just going to go off and you're going to hire those people. When you hire those people without guidance, that's going to cost you a minimum about $27,000, but it'll take you in from a year. If you actually come through something like Jumpstart, it's $18,500, and actually it's $13,500 for 9 months, right? So it's not even $1,000 a month. I mean, because that's just how we roll, right? Well, yeah, no, it's a little over $1,000 a month, and we actually make sure that you make $21,000 before you ever even, well, it's $22,500 before you graduate, because that's how we roll. All of our graduates are 100%. They've gotten their ROI and their business offices are up and running, because, you know, we help people. It's a turnkey business for speakers. All right. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to give this 5 more seconds because I know there's a bit of a lag, and then I'm going to hang up. So I just want to say hi to Curtis. Hey, I think I'm saying it right. Solaria, Jessica, of course, Dana, Kevin, Arbala, Reshoot, David, Michael Garav, John, Alvin, Latrice, Roy, and Doug. Do me a favor, please, if you're on here right now, please go ahead and share this. And if you have any questions, if there's anything you want me to cover, this was a question that someone asked me, which was, what does it really take to be a speaker and how much does it cost? So I wanted to answer that. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. And yes, our crazy. And if you want to come to the Dallas event, it's Dallas 13th and Dallas 13th. Oh my God, it's July 13th and July 14th. It's in Dallas. It's about 2 miles from the Hilton Anatole. It's $99 for one. It's $160 for two. I don't do a lot of pop-up meetings all over the place. This one I'm doing because I'm going to be in town. If you want to know how to get more referrals from your keynote, and if you want the formula, please make sure that you show up make sure that you click on the link here, get your ticket, and show up to the event. And again, it's only open for 12 people. I'm like so serious about only being 12 people. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Holla.